Hey everyone, so today I'm coming to you from another classroom in my university, and I've decided to talk today about something that can often be glossed over, especially if, like me, you are currently working on very short classes. Most of my classes are 40 minutes and you really do have a lot to pack in there. However, I still find that it's really important to get some kind of warmer into the lesson. Now, if you're not familiar with a warmer, this is something that goes right at the start of the lesson that allows students to kind of adapt to the English learning environment, to start to feel comfortable and to get them engaged with the topic. So I've picked out some of my favorite ways of starting lessons to hopefully give you a kind of springboard into some of your lessons. So we're going to start up over here with telling a story. Now, I read something on Facebook a while back that made me really sad, and it was somebody that said students do not care about their teachers' lives, so teachers who talk about themselves are wasting their breath. In my experience, that is totally not true. The more you appear to the students as a human, as an actual person, the more you break down the barrier that they have unconsciously put up. When they come into your classroom, they are expecting there to be a teacher-student barrier. They're expecting that teacher that they hated when they were in school, who never really connected with them. By telling stories about your life, you personalize yourself, and the students respond to that. The next one relates to questions. Now, I've got two things you can do here. I've got a question of the day. This is the warmer that I'm using right now in most of my lessons because of that 40-minute time limit. And simply what I do is I put up a question on the board that the students can begin to discuss when they come in. Now, this really helps with students who come in particularly early, but also it gives them a kind of idea of where the lesson's going to go without you having to explicitly state this is where the lesson's going to go. Another thing that you could try is random questioning. Now, to do this, all you need is a pack of cards or perhaps some Duplo bricks or a dice. Okay, and what you do is you pick 4 to 6 categories, you prepare some questions beforehand, and you have the students pick a card, pick a brick, or roll the dice, and you ask them that question, a question on that topic. The physical element of it, them picking a card, picking a brick, or rolling a dice, has a surprising effect on how much they enjoy it, because again, things like dice, cards, and bricks are not what they expect in an adult classroom, and in some cases, not even in a child's classroom either. The next one is something that I've done an entire seminar on in the past, and that is use of videos. Now, one of the things about some of these is if you're teaching grammar, you really need to avoid what I call the punctured Lilo effect. That's when you come in and you say to the students, today we are going to study the third conditional. And their response, almost to a student, even the really enthusiastic ones, will go, and you can just see the air draining out of them. And if you've got a long class, if you've got a 90-minute class, you are going to struggle to get them back. So, putting on a video with a simple task, and this is even something you can do with beginners if you make it simple, like observational stuff. It's something that you can do with all levels, whether it's asking questions about what happens, fill in the blanks in the dialogue. There are many different things that you can do with this, and I'll do a more specific video on videos in the future. But what you really do here is you engage them. After the video, they're still completely unaware of where the lesson is going, but they're engaged. You've made them laugh, you've entertained them in some way with the video, and then you start to use the characters or use the situation to weave the grammar into a marker sentence. And what you're effectively doing here is you are getting the students on side. You're getting them to start being interested in grammar without actually mentioning the word grammar. So it's really important. The next one's one of my favorites with a high-level class, and it would need to be quite a high-level class, but put a controversial statement on the board. Now, the way that I usually do this is I come in very early, write the controversial statement on the board, and then leave. And I actually don't do my usual routine. My usual routine is to be in the classroom 10 minutes before the lesson starts, greeting the students, getting everything set up. In this case, I'll actually go and sit in the staff room until right before the lesson starts and just leave that sentence there. Now, if you want an example of a controversial statement, it could be something like, let's see, marijuana should be legal. Parents should be allowed to smack their children. Gay marriage should be okay. You know, with some nationalities, each of those statements would be controversial. And it doesn't matter what your opinion as a teacher is, it will get them talking. And when you come in, you play the role of facilitator. Now, one thing that I do want to qualify here is make sure that you know your students well. The last thing you want is to set off an argument before you come in. You want it to be something that provokes discussion. And then, as I said, you come in and you mediate that discussion. Okay, moving on. Something I've done in the past, particularly with Arabic learners, was a daily spelling test. I mentioned this in a previous video on routines. But this allows you to recycle key vocabulary from the day before. So, for example, today, me and my class, my longer class, my 90-minute class, we are going to be working on physical descriptions. And so tomorrow, the opening of the 90-minute class is going to be a spelling test using some of those words, and then they will have to categorize them into, is it an adjective we use to describe hair, use to describe build, use to describe something on the face. And that way, they're not just being exposed to vocabulary once, you are bringing it back so that they're getting exposed to it a second time. And one of the key things about vocabulary is the brain learns through repetition. So the more times the students see that vocabulary, the more that likely they are to have access to it when they need it, either for a test or in my class's case, for a piece of writing. It's a writing assignment. Another thing that you could do is you could have a song as a warmer. Now, I have to admit that music is not a passion of mine, and my musical knowledge is pretty much next to zero. I know what I like, and I like what I know, and there endeth the interest. But a colleague of mine at the moment is actually doing a different theme of music each week, and he's giving them a playlist to expose them to different styles of music, which I thought was a wonderful idea. When I first started teaching, coming up on 11 years ago, I would play a song as the students were walking in the door, related to the lesson. And then I'd tell them a little bit about the band or about the song itself. But you can also use it for grammar. I use the song If I Had $1 Million by the Bare Naked Ladies to introduce the concept of the second conditional. So songs can also be a great way to introduce grammar. And I use the song Money, Money, Money by ABBA to start a lesson on money-related vocabulary. And the final one, you can use images as warmers. This can simply be something as simple as what is happening in this picture. Again, similar to the controversial statement, you can just put the picture on the board and leave, and the students are then left to wonder why you've put this seemingly random picture up on the board. You could have a storyboard. So you could have the students, you could walk out and the students are looking at the pictures, already starting to wonder how the story goes together. But again, bringing it back to something that I really like to do, my favourite grammar to teach is the third conditional. I know that makes me really geeky because I have a favourite aspect of grammar, but the third conditional for me is so flexible. And I use a picture of a man in jail as the warmer. And as a class, we create his backstory. So the first thing they do is give him a name. And the only rule I have, they're not allowed to name anybody in the class. And so we have, let's say, Reggie went to prison. Okay? What crime did he commit? he murdered his friend. Okay? Why did he murder his friend? His friend stole from him. Okay? Why did his friend steal from him? And you can elicit 4 or 5 sentences and really start building up this story. And the great thing about this is because the students named him, because they created his story, again, they are engaged before you even introduce the concept of the third conditional. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I hope that you found it informative. I will try over the next couple of weeks to produce a blog post so you can have all this in written form if you prefer to read. One other thing before I go, if you are not a member of my mailing list and you would like to be, I send out an email usually once every school day. So normally that's 5 per week. Recently I've had a couple of days off, so if you've not been getting as many, that's why. And also I send out a free copy of my ebook every day as well, because I keep getting new subscribers for that. If you've already joined my mailing list and you're not getting the emails, please check your junk folder or your spam folder. I am not very tech savvy, and it's possible that your email address, your email spam filter is filtering my emails into there. So check in there. If you're still not receiving anything, then of course please feel free to personal message me on Facebook or drop a comment below this video. And that's about it. So I will be back tomorrow with another vlog. Take care.